everybody on this wonderful Friday. This is an awesome day, awesome show, and I have to admit something on air about Bob, real quick.
What?
Everybody knows that Bob took a journey to the UK. He took his backpack, said, "Fuck America, I'm going to the UK."
Yeah.
But Bob didn't tell everybody about why did he really go to the UK.
I was being chased.
Because Bob was actually he was looking for. Tell everybody about why did he shoot! I gotta take that volume off. Bob was looking for the lost tribes, descendant of British. So Bob decided, if I'm gonna find the lost tribe, I'm going to the UK directly. And then to find the lost tribe, who's leading the lost tribe? Who is their true leader? And what we discovered with Bob's research, Bob had a map, found the van by the river. It was Paul. We found out that Paul
was there. Paul was leading the lost tribes of England. He was the England lost tribes.
Leading them into the wall.
We got to figure out which one you are, though. Obviously, you're Ashkenazi version like we are. Eric and I just found out that actually that's not a joke. Everyone keeps thinking we're joking. We were doing that Black Tom research. Oh, Paul, yeah, this is cool. You're here. This is kind of you'll understand. So I was doing that stupid black fucking whatever. It's all bullshit.
Black Tom.
I was looking at when our family, there was a large Jewish influx around that time going through the border. I was looking at who was all there, mostly German immigrants. That's why nobody gave a shit about things burning because it was German immigrants there. Anyway, not to go into that stupid story, but there was like a large Jewish wave right before World War II. This is like right before World War II, World War I, whatever. And I was like, Strozier. I saw the family names coming. I go, wait a minute, man. That's exactly how we spell our grandma's name. Her main name was Strozier. I go, what? And so I'm with some other people from England, like yourself, like-minded, like yourself. And one of the people that I was hanging out with was like, they went to a Jewish school. They go, Strozier? She goes, yeah, I knew a lot of Stroziers in my Jewish school. I said, what? Let's look at the spelling here. And I'm going through the spelling. I go, she goes, yeah, that's the people I knew in my the school I went to, private school, Jewish private school. I said, huh? So then I did the research and I go, holy shit, grandma's fucking Ashkenazi Jew out of Germany. And I go, holy shit, then that makes dad half Jewish. And then I go, Eric, did you know that Grandma Strozier was actually, Eric's like, huh? Dad never, because she died so young. And so we're like, huh? The whole family's like, huh? What? Wait, we're what? And so we got cousins right now. They're in shock. They're like, wow, wait a minute, man. And they're going back and looking and said, holy shit, how do they reevaluate their lives now? They're like, it's nothing bad. It's not bad. It's just that it was a piece of information that we never had in our lives. We just never knew that. Old grandma, and that would make my dad half Ashkenazi Jewish. And I was like, oh, wow, that explains a lot of weird shit. That we circumcised when we were kids and the whole spill. And anyway, thought that was interesting. So from that stupid research project, I learned a lot. And then now we're going to go into the lost tribes, which is kind of cool because one of the main theories was that there was a tribe that came here. They were scattered. They were scattered everywhere. So one of the major tribes came to England, and the other tribe, maybe with artifacts that are found with the Mississippian culture in the United States, proven that, and genetically, we're talking science, everybody, science. They're doing the genome test. And they're finding that, yeah, there are, in fact, Jewish genetics being passed around with the Choctaw, and a lot of it's mostly in the Cherokee. So, and there's a whole faction of Cherokee that are actually in communication with Israel, trying to get recognized. And I'm like, huh? There's Cherokee, native Cherokee peoples that are trying to get connected with Israel, trying to get recognized as one of the lost tribes. I said, wow. what is this at this time and date? The people are trying to stand up and go, wait a minute, we might be part of a lost tribe that we're lost. I don't want to go to Israel. Eric, do you want to go to Israel? I mean, Paul, do you want to go there and have real estate? I'm fine. But
never thought about it.
I'd probably get one with a landmine.
yeah, I get a landmine on mine. But interesting though, there are tribes as far as up into Russia. They're proving that hey, they were connected. They have artifacts, family traditional artifacts that go way back. In Asian countries, of course, in Africa, Ethiopia, Ethiopians. Hey, we're Jewish too. Again, like Eastern Asia, certain problem. Like all of these people are want to be recognized now. Of course, they're being denied. You don't have enough evidence to support that. They're trying to stop it. There's an active resistance to it. Like Eric, the American borders, where Mexicans are technically California belongs to them. Originally, it is their home.
Texas.
And Texas, it is theirs. So they put the border and like, you guys aren't, you're immigrants. Well, technically, they're not.
It did belong to them.
It belongs to them. As far as Colorado and all the way up into Washington, it was theirs. So it was part of Mexico. But so here we are with this whole conversation. I don't want to just
if you think about it, you know what you were just talking about, how the Indians and the Israeli connection in the genomes. Well, if you talk about in like not the creation, they have like a flood story in the Native Americans. They talk about how they were underground with the white people, and that's where they mated, and mixed the gene pool. So if you think about it, I've had this theory for a long time that instead of people coming from Israel this way to the west, to the USA, it went the other way after the flood. So if you think about it, when they all came up, because they all talk about how they came up from underground, the white people left, you could have gone the other way. Do you know what I mean? To Europe and Israel that way.
Correct.
It just always got to me because you're talking about how USA is known as like had 13 colonies, and that's always stuck with me because the UN flag had 13 stars, and I was always thinking, well, you're talking about 10 tribes and it's 12 tribes, and then it's 12 apostles, but with Jesus it's 13. So and it's got 13 stars on. Is there any connection there why the EU set up? And that's where I got into it that way, just thinking a little bit different, because it just seems fishy that they're picking 12 and 13 numbers for any specific reason.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. No, you and I have the same thing, same exact.
That is interesting.
The 13 bloodlines. They talk about the 13 royal or 13 whatever bloodlines, which same thing comes from the same myth stories. A lot of things aren't myth anymore, Toto. So we're finding out a lot of truth.
That's why I want to ask you guys this. Yeah. And actually, it's hard to concentrate a little bit because Paul looks really good in that red tribe outfit. But next to you, Bob, doesn't Paul look good in that tribe outfit?
He does look cool. He wears black like myself.
As I was saying, we knew he's a part of the tribe. Now, some articles. There's 12 tribes. There's the and just in case you guys don't know,
same thing.
I know everybody here in the chat. I know everybody knows Paul, but just in case you don't know, Paul original channel, the Black Sheep Research channel, is no longer there. Paul created another channel. I have it right here. It's called What the Flock TV. So that's his new channel. And he's already got stuff uploaded. So make sure that you guys trying to find Paul if you can't find a Black Sheep Researcher because it's not there. It's gone. Yep. So go to Flock TV, and for whatever reason, if you still can't find it there, just go find my Reddit page. And I always try to take Paul's videos. I don't upload it, but it's linked to my Reddit page. So like here, this is a Paul show. So if you can't find Paul's channel, just go to my Reddit, and I always post Paul's videos on my Reddit line. So just a couple ways you can find Paul. But beyond that, you know, when I was originally thinking about doing the show, I was looking up for the 13th tribe. What is the 13th tribe? But then you look at certain articles, there's 10 tribes. Then some articles is 12. You know, then I found this article that's called "Are the British Descendant from the 10 Lost Tribes?" So my question is I'm not the expert on tribes. You guys are more expert than I am. Is the 12th, the 11th, 12th, and 13th, are they related to the 10th? Because there's always two different articles you find. 10, then you find some on 12s. Why are they not recognized to the 13th? And why is the British article only goes up to 10, not the 11th or 12th or 13th, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
It does screw your head. Like I said, I'm no expert. I'm learning as I'm going on the fly, like you guys most of the time. But there's like 10 tribes, and then there's 12 families, and which was an Emma wrote down before. There should be 13 technically, but they count Levi and Joseph as one. You know what I mean? So it really would have been 13, but they count them two as one, and then one has bigger land and different things like that. It just messes with your head. What if it's 12? It's 12. Then you have 12 tribes, and you have 12 sons, 10. You know, and then it went to 10 tribes. It is all over the place. And when you do a history like this, it's why are they messing with you? See, for 12 tribes, and then it goes to 10 tribes, and then it goes to 13. Some people think it's 13. It confuses anyone. Yeah. And then they call them different names. Like I said, you have Levi and Joseph, and then it goes to another name. I did write it down, I just can't find it. And they get labeled as another name. And it's all the crests. I mean, if you look at some of the crests for the so-called families are revealing, to say the least. But to your question, it's mad, because what is actually going on? When people ask you to look in this, you're seeing articles for 12 tribes, and then you're seeing 10 tribes, Israel. It's like, what is going on? Am I seeing something like misspelled here?
Well, it's from the brothers. You got Reuben, what's his name? Samoan, Levi, Judah. Now, help me if I mutilate these. Issachar, whatever, Zebulun, Joseph, like you mentioned, Benjamin, Dan, Nephtali, Gad, and Asher. So you have all these brothers. They also had daughters, which was nobody even talks about daughters, but when people we use the word Jew, which is in fact incorrect when we're talking about Hebrew, because they're Hebrews. They're not Jews. Are from the line of Judah.
I got the names right here.
Yeah, the Jews are from the line of Judah, and so when the 10 tribes were scattered, they were taken over. There was two. It was like a big borderline, kind of like what you have now, almost identical to what Jerusalem has now. There was that border. You had two leaders, two kings on two different fucking sides of that fucking line. They were all Hebrew. And then the 10 tribes got taken over by the Syrians. They got taken over by Babylon, and they basically got fucking taken over. They were sacked.
Pushed out.
Yeah, they got sacked. So those 10 tribes were taken as slaves, scattered, whatever. And so for some reason, there's a whole controversy behind it. The Judah, the line of Judah, they didn't get touched. And what's the other one? It was Judah. Oh God. I actually forget the other one. What was the other? There was two of them down there. Anyway, the two didn't get touched, and so that's what we have all the way to the present day. We have that to these are the guys that have whatevers, and they're here for the present day. But people can remember, when you use the word Jew, you're talking about the line of Judah, not the other brothers. There's a whole shitload of brothers. And you would have so these are Hebrews, original Hebrews from way back in the day, and they were scattered, but they went somewhere. They even had, here's where it is that we're going in the edge of the conspiracy realm again. So people just bear with me. The original ones were supposed to be redheads, blondes, reds, blue eyes, green eyes. And that was the original because even in Egypt, they found out now, presently, this is not a fucking conspiracy, it's a fact. Finally, and I took Egyptology in fucking university, and they finally, by kicking that asshole out that was in charge of the one in Egypt, they did research and they saw that these mummies have red hair. They're Caucasoids, and they got red hair, blonde hair. They were not, in fact, of color, of any color. They were Northern European. They were European genetics. So they come down. Like you said, it's reverse. They come down. They didn't come up from Africa. They come down and downwards. And so a lot of the original Jews, which were the same genetics as the Pharaoh, were also redheads, blondes, just like anybody else, Northern European in genetics. And so when they made their migration over to the Exodus and towards the Promised Land, wherever it's going to be, they were the original. And then when they were scattered, it's real simple that they can assimilate in Germany just as easily as they can go to anywhere else in Northern Europe. They can go all the way up to, they can go to the Netherlands. They can fit right in with everybody. There's just no, they can go anywhere north. That's their original ancestry. That was where they had come from. The Ashkenazis, Eric, on our side, they went from there. They went to Turkey. So they moved forward to Turkey, and then from Turkey they went up to Germany. So they were in Turkey for a long time, which was in Istanbul, Constantinople, and then they went up from there to Germany. Easily assimilate, just no problem. So what you have left now is a line of Judah, and a line of Judah had intermixed with the people from the Arabs, anybody from down in the desert regions, the tropical belt. They had genetically kind of mixed with the tropical belt people, which is not being racist people. That's just how genetics work. They mixed with the locals. So they have dark hair, brown eyes. They have what you have now, the line of Judah. But again, so you could have, so Paul could very well be from one of the lost tribes and have he could be blonde-eyed, blue-eyed, white, pale, freckles. Don't matter. Don't matter.
Well, if you think about it, is that you just talking about now, you have, when you're talking about crowns and different things in Egypt, you had Upper and Lower Egypt. So obviously you've got the upper, see, what we think is Upper Egypt, you would naturally think it's at the top, but it's not. It's you looking down Egypt, but it's actually role reverse. And obviously the proper Egyptians were like what you're talking about, the opposite you do with is it the Kemets, the blacks, which from the Sudan moved up. So they were like one part of Egypt, and then you had the redheads from Akhenaten. And what you'll find is that, was it the Sumerians, the Egyptians, they were heavily RH negative.
Yes, thank you for saying that.
Then you had the Hindu River Valley from India, another ancient tribe. They were normal, like not, the normal ABC bloodline, and the Yellow River in China, they were normal blood. So you had two normal bloods, and you had two RH negative within the four great so-called civilizations. Before you had Tartary and all that, you only had the four River Valley, civilizations, and that's what I was brought up on. And they were two, and then obviously you had Akhenaten with the funny shaped heads, who was two to commands, two kings, the moon's relative, and then you had the redheads from there, and that would associate then to, if we're talking about the tribes. What I wrote down was something slightly different. Not just it was different, but I don't know if you've heard of in Ireland. I need to research this more because it's really interesting, because I've got Irish relatives. It's the Tuatha Dé Danann, who are like the ancient race of Ireland. They were redheads. Yeah. That's why you're talking about now, when people are talking about Israel, Holy Land, all that place in Egypt is supposed to be all in the UK, Scotland, Ireland, and all that. And it's just weird that these people had the redhead too.
Yeah. Well, you look at Seth Rogen. I use an example that he's a hilarious comedian, Seth Rogen.
Canadian.
His curly hair. They call it the Jufro. I hate using that word, but it's funny. We're satire in context, people. We're being funny. He has the red curly hair. He's got the reddish beard. He's Ashkenazi out of Russia or one of those steps, one of the steps down that area, like you said. And then all the way up, they have evidence all the way from Egypt through the Israel area, and then to the steps all the way over to Ireland, through England, then to Ireland. Redheads, big blue eyes, Rh negative, some mixed up, and they got you said history and artifacts where they had been related to the pharaohs of Egypt, where you had actual royals from Egypt go to Ireland, and it was laughed at. But
married one of his daughters became a queen of Ireland.
Yes, the queen. Yes. And
it's like what you just said. What reminds me, if you think about it, if these tribes of Israel got disbanded because of the Syrians, like I said, I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm just theorizing, talking with you guys now. Is if they got assimilated and moved outward, did some of them go to Egypt, take over a portion of Egypt, become obviously what is known as the redheads? Because the normal Egyptians were known as the people with black feet. So obviously, red hair and black, you don't really get that mix much.
Yeah.
So it's obviously then got the upper and lower Egypt, which is red and white.
Yeah.
They have different crowns, one white, one red. So I'm assuming these tribes split, went all over the realm, whether it's from the USA, like I was saying, or from Israel, because we don't know. We wasn't there. And if you've got 10 people saying one thing in research and another 10, who's the one to say it's right? Because they're all books, they're all written by people.
Yeah.
But what interests me about that Tuatha De Danann is that obviously the name Dan, because I know some people.
Thank you for saying. I was like, I can't remember Danang. Yes, Dan, the lost tribe.
One of the tribes of Israel, Dan. But people believe it's from Denmark. But the Tuatha De Danann, they actually called, and the actually symbol that you had on your little GIF thing was like of a druid type with antlers. And I'm actually playing a game in Assassin's Creed. It's got the druids in and some of these people, and they were the tribe of Danu. So the tribe, you know what I mean? They're the children of Danu, and you've got Dan, one of the founders of the 12.
Yeah,
it's too much to be similar, not to be. Are they from them? Because these two after Dinan, they were supposedly magical and had superpowers. They arrived on some say flying ships. Some say sailing ships, and they just basically went to take over Ireland. So it is interesting, the fact, because of the name Dan, and they are from, Tuatha De Danann. Is it from the tribes? And that's all you've got to ask. No harm in asking these questions.
No, the reason why we're having this conversation, when I was in anthropology at the University of Washington, you can get in a lot of trouble. If you were a professor and you've got to have a sidebar conversation with a professor because it cannot be taught this way in school. It's the out of Africa. It's the same thing. It's the same porridge that you're eating at breakfast. It's gotta have it. You got to have the foundation for it, and then you can have alternative conversations. It's not going to go very far. But you can have it, and when the professor's like, I agree with it. And they're like, we're still gathering the evidence, and it's getting stronger and stronger. But at the moment, if we go out, it was two different groups, no, it's going to cause massive race problems, and we can't do that. But at the moment, this conversation can't happen. We can have it, but we can't have it as a lecture. We can have it as an alternative idea, and then we have to down it a little bit, downplay it a little bit. But to have a conversation about debunking the out of Africa, which is what we have from northern down instead of Africa up, you will get your career's done. Your career is over. It's over. And it wasn't until just recently, I think within 2016, it finally people are like, hey, wait a minute. I got enough artifacts and evidence. I got fired from my job. I don't care anymore. I'm an educated motherfucker. I'm going to come out and start showing all this evidence. I'm going to make presentations. And you're getting a larger wave of I guess learned peoples that are coming out and saying, hey, there is a lot of evidence to support the northern movement. And down, like I said, down to the portions of Egypt where they had moved up, back down, then moved back up. Everything above the equator, everything above.
It seems like they only get a bit of fire in the bellies, isn't it? When they get tenure, or when they can't get sacked?
You could only do it. Yes, you nailed it. You could do it if you're tenure. If you're tenure, you can do it because that means they can't fire you unless you practically robbed a bank or something, and even then, it's hard to get rid of you. Yeah,
it's intriguing though, because you're talking about the 13 families at the beginning, the so-called famous 13 purple bloodlines.
Yeah,
it seems funny that you got 13 or 12. Sometimes it says 12, 13 bloodline families. Common sense would say, is that 12 or 10, whatever the number wants to be, of these tribes, are they one and the same? Because there's not going to be 13 bloodlines that's so powerful that they're going to leave the 12 tribes alone. They have to be assimilated, or they are one and the same.
What's the brothers? It's just a group of brothers. You know how that works. You know how the royalty works. You've got basically one central person in charge, and then you got the brothers. And all the brothers have their own. They got to have their own group. They've got their own. This is my group. This is Dan. Technically, it's one big ass fucking place. But you got the brothers. So every brother has to have their group. They have to have their. They got to equally distribute the wealth amongst the royal family, the initial family. So you have the brothers. Basically, it's one tribe. If you really boil, like you said, boil it down, it's just one tribe. But they got the royal brothers. You got to separate each group. It's the same thing in South America. It's the same story. All in any culture that you have one king, multiple sons, and all the sons have to have their territory, their area. This is my area of the farm. My area.
I'll throw this at you then and see what you think. 12 families, right? 12 brothers. So where's the 13th? The 13th to me would be the crown. So you have someone, for instance, like Jesus and the 12 apostles, you would have the crown, because people don't realize he would have to have been royal family.
Correct.
So he's royal family, he's the crown. So you have the crown and the apostles, crown and 12 brothers.
Yes.
It just makes sense. I mean, I was looking quickly at this. Now, if I say this name to you, it's weird. Like the son of Dan, his name was Hushim. Now, hush him. That's like silencing. It's weird. And he was supposed to be from the tribe of the Shumanites. It doesn't. Things sound weird. If I was going hush him, and you have obviously Harpocrates, who is another form of Horus, and he's like the god of silence. That's hush.
Yeah.
So one of his sons, of Dan's son, is hush him.
Yeah. Now remember, you're right, because they had multiple gods now. Like you said it. That's the reason in mythology, the reason why God shunned them and allowed them to be taken over, and half of Jerusalem was wiped out by these other tribes, because they were worshiping multiple different gods. Because they were, you're correct. Like you said, they had multiple different gods.
Now, are these multiple gods in the Bible by any chance, or?
Well, you could talk to Paul. Probably knows about the. There's the whole Gnostic thing.
I mean, you obviously have to watch what you say, because people. But I've read a little of the Bible. I'm not as knowledgeable as some people in the chat or watching this home. But if you think about it, you got the Old Testament and the New Testament. To me, they seem different. Different gods. Yeah. One's wrathful. One's loving, love your neighbor, and the other one's like murder him and do all that sort of thing. But you've also got Lord in it. When it says Lord, got Lord, sometimes could be your husband, or it's another word for Baal. So you have all these words in the Bible that have different meanings and can be associated with different gods.
Yes,
so,
that's
you know what I mean. And because we're not there, we cannot read the ancient things and translate it and different things. I mean, people even argue about the Rosetta Stone. The guy who translated that was a Mason.
Of course,
so you want to keep the knowledge. You don't actually say, right, this actually means we're going to kill you in 20,000 years or whatever. They're going to tell you something else because he's translating it.
Oh, yeah. It's funny we bring this up because They found now. I have issues now. Again, I have a discrepancy. I use this other than those other fucking words. A discrepancy error with some of the new with some of the new things that they have found in the desert. They found like the scriptures of Judah. I don't know if you've heard of that one. In my memory at the university, we were taught that the scriptures of Judah was found in Egypt.
Oh, he's froze. Hey, disco.
I guess God's got him.
That's it. Strike him down. Well, yeah, he's right. And people talking about little G, big G. Now, if you're talking like finding these like ancient sea scrolls, I mean, if you saw the locations, it's like a farmer was taking his sheep out and they threw a stone. Like they're like 1,000 feet up in the cliff. It's things just do not make sense. But that's what we're here for. We're here to talk about things and see if things actually, fit easier.
Like that. Oh, bam.
He got smited. Doctor Who got smited.
What I'll do is I'll kick him out on purpose and I'll resend him the invite. Probably just a computer glitch or our internet went out or something. Or maybe God's mad.
Yeah. He got mad because you were talking to the Scientology guys. They've had him. He's been probed.
So I just resent him the invite. He was talking about the stuff. Yeah. Don. He was talking about the stuff. Actually, I also got a video. It's a 5-minute video. I got permission to show it. And the video is called Where Are the Top 10 Lost Tribes? They don't talk about the 12 or 13, but I thought, hey, there's Bob. Let me see.
He's here. He got smited.
Hey Bob, I got a 5-minute video. It's called Where Are the Top 10 Lost Tribe? I got permission to show it. I thought I'll just play it. It's one of those professionally kind of made.
Yeah.
I can pause it in the middle of it. You guys tell me to pause it. You want to talk about what they're saying?
Yeah.
As
soon as I started talking about that papyrus about the lost scriptures of Judah, the fucking internet shut off.
Well, usually that always happens when we're on matrix topics.
Yeah. I'll talk about it after the video, but go ahead.
Much of the history.
Yeah, like I said, this is 5 minutes long, and they gave me permission, so hopefully they don't strike it, but here we go.
Of the ancient kingdoms of Israel and Judah are well known. Preserved in the Bible is an epic anthology from the birth of this storied nation to the division, collapse, and ultimate captivities of the Israelite and Jewish peoples. While the Bible details the Jews' return to their homeland, the northern kingdom of Israel seemingly became lost to history. What happened to the 10 lost tribes of Israel?
And like I was saying, this video even only talks about the 10, and you guys mentioned earlier, why are we talking about the 11 or 12 or 13? So it is, even doing videos, it's weird why we only talk about this, but then there's supposed to be this many.
Well, in 12 history, so it is what it is.
Hey, welcome, Bigfoot. Here we go. And let me put.
Shortly after the death of Israel's most prosperous king,
this is the link to the video,
Solomon,
people. You guys want to see it later.
The nation divided into two kingdoms, Israel and Judah. A ferocious war soon erupted between them, resulting in the loss of half of Israel's army. Taking advantage of Israel's weakened state, the Syrians began to invade. Josephus records the brutality of these campaigns, leaving little doubt that many fled to safety. Now Hazael, king of Syria, fought against the Israelites and plundered the eastern parts of the country beyond Jordan. Also Gilead and Bashan, burning and plundering and offering violence to all that he laid his hands on. The kingdom of Israel was destroyed completely in 722 BC, and to many, this appears to be the end of their story. But the rich and the powerful boarded ships and sailed away. The less fortunate were rounded up and deported to the fringes of the Assyrian Empire, specifically the lands of modern...
Doesn't that sound like even modern day I mean, I'll continue the video, but
Well, yeah.
what I mean is like even when you watch movies, right? I know this is off topic in a way, like 2012, where the people know the end of the world. If you're rich in money, you always have a pathway to survival, and the poor people are left to, you know.
It's bullshit in one aspect. I don't believe this. I actually don't, because, for an example, we had Operation Paperclip, and people are like, what the fuck does that have to do with it? It's everything to do with it. During the end of the World War II of Germany, we went and stole and kidnapped and, basically took all the scientists, all the smart people. They went in there and they didn't just slaughter and kill. They went and got, these guys were builders, man. Paul knows they were highly intelligent motherfuckers. Yeah. They went and got all the smart, the learned people. They've got the winemakers, they've got the farmers, they got all the innovators, they've got the writers, the reader, everybody they can get is smart. They just took them all because and they're gods. So they had done so much. It went so far. It was so few, and they've gotten so big. Then they went people hunting. They went and got all these people and brought them back to Babylon, Syria. They brought them all in. Nobody. You got, the Bible is filled with prophets that came from the area that were taken from the area and became high ranking prophets. In Babylon and other places.
That's what you said, though. It always gives me a little wry smile when you say profits, because it is money.
Yeah,
making a profit.
Yeah. So they went and got all these people. They make it sound like they fucking slaughtered them and they've got people. No, they got them, and a lot of them were allowed to leave, which goes back to Ireland. They were boat makers. They were on the Mediterranean. They built beautiful ships for trade. They had wonderful trade. These weren't just nobodies. So they became merchants for Syria, for Babylon, for all these other, moved them around. Everybody was a slave. Everybody was a slave. You're a royal or a slave.
Did you want me to play some more, or is it not interesting?
Go for it. Okay. No, it's as good. We're just kind of dispelling some of the stuff that we think. Yeah.
Like I said, if you guys want me to pause it anywhere in this, just tell me.
Yeah.
In Turkey and northwestern Iran. The Israelites began life anew in the lands of their captivity, but full-scale conquests by Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome were coming, all of which drove migrants towards Scythia and Thrace, the lands of the horse. The Black Sea region was filled with competing tribes of mounted warriors, some of which were subsequently driven into Europe. Some have speculated that Israelite migrants learned about horses in Scythia, but it may surprise many that ancient Israel deployed one of the most respected and feared chariot forces in the Near East. One might even describe elite Israelite society as a horse-riding aristocracy. 1 Kings 10:26 records Solomon's construction of chariot cities throughout Israel that included stabling for 40,000 horses. His army incorporated 12,000 horsemen and 14.
Bob, you got a comment about that? I saw your head moving.
Yeah, it's saying what I just said, right? There's nobody being fucking eaten alive on some spit somewhere with some savagery done to them. The technology that Solomon himself, they took all the technology. Solomon himself had built Solomon's temple, but Solomon's temple was built by the jinn, was built by the whatevers. They were built by the others, the people on the other side. They were built by them. So he actually had all the literature on how to talk and control and harness the jinn, to have them build these mass structures and to give them secret knowledge from the other side. They also had this information. They also had King Solomon's information. So basically, like, it goes back to what I said. This is Operation Paperclip, but way back then. So there you go. It's just exactly what I was talking about.
Okay.
1,500 chariots, a significant force, the equal of any in the region at the time. King Ahab, a few decades later at the Battle of Karkar, fielded 2,000 chariots, according to the Kirk Stela. The Nimrod Prism and records from the State Archives of Assyria indicate just how respected Israel's horsemen were. When the Israelite capital of Samaria fell to Sargon II, he incorporated its chariot force into the Assyrian army. The man of Samaria, who, with a king hostile to me, had consorted together not to do service and not to bring tribute, and they did battle. In the strength of the great gods, my lords, I clashed with them. 27,280 people with their chariots, and the gods their trust, as spoil I counted. 200 chariots as my royal muster I mustered from among them. The rest of them I caused to take their dwelling in the midst of Assyria. The Israelite charioteers were even permitted to retain their identity, a rare privilege indeed. Recent research by Tomas Dizo demonstrates that this Israelite chariot force was among the largest in the Assyrian army. The common people of Israel were not so fortunate. Hundreds of thousands were rounded up and resettled in the northern and eastern fringes of the Assyrian Empire. Significantly, however, many of the resettlement areas of the Israelites were also horse breeding and training areas of the Assyrian military. In other words, Israelite captives would have retained their equine skills and become valuable contributors to the local economies. When they were subsequently driven into the Black Sea region, they were well equipped to join the horse cultures of the steppes. Raiding, warfare, and strife in the steppes drove many from Scythia and Thrace up the Danube corridor into Europe. The timing of the sudden appearance of horse-riding aristocrats in the Celtic homeland of Hallstatt is uncanny, coinciding roughly with the Syrian invasions of northern Israel in the 9th century BC. Israel was conquered in 722 BC and never regained its lands. But this was not the end of their story. The lost tribes of Israel survived and thrived in their lands of captivity before journeying west into Europe. I'm Kevin Gibson for Tomorrow's World Viewpoint.
And if anybody in the chat wants to see that clip later on, this I put in the chat right here. If you guys want to see it. So anything they said, Bob and Paul, that you disagree with, or
no, like I said, it's all opinions. What interests me is, and it always has, that from obviously Syria down to Babylon, which is obviously Iraq, Mesopotamia, where it's the 33rd parallel, and you know what I mean. That's on the line that supposedly it's called the deadline or the ghost line. A lot of shit happens basically. But what's intriguing is the connection with Israel and Egypt, because Dr. Wu was on about the connection earlier on. Now they have Egyptian temples in Israel. Now everyone knows it. Everyone's seen it. You know, when you've seen it on social media when you put up Israel and they put ISIS, for the and then rat and all. I've done the etymology in my way and actually found something that suits me better and fits a lot better. So if you think about Israel, so you got Israel, right? Israel. Yeah. In my opinion, I looked into it. I got is, so the is, instead of being ISIS, is means he or him. So you got him or he. Ra, well, everyone knows Ra, sun god, Ra, Egypt. So there's a connection straight away. And then obviously you got the El, which is God. So that you're talking then of Israel being his or him. Ra, Ra is the God of Israel. Yeah. You got then if you got people talking about the redheaders and the tribes coming to Egypt, and you have like Hathor temples in Israel, why is the connection? You know what I mean? So there's something that's going on there. I mean, you had Moses and all them tribe walking for 40 days and 40 nights or 40 years, whatever it was.
40 years, yeah.
You know what I mean? Going from Egypt to Israel. So there is always a connection there. Why didn't he walk somewhere else?
Yeah, that's a big one right there. They talk about 40 years. 40 years, now you could get there in way more time than that, but mostly conquering. This is the narrative. I'm like you said, Paul. This is nothing. This is the narrative that they spend 40 years trying to conquer and get their way into to take back Israel. It belongs to them. So it's like a 40-year war, more or less, of 40 years of wandering. That's how the academics are like. Well, it was 40-year war. But it is suspicious. It's highly suspicious. Like you said, the religions came with them. all the way through over there. That they were supposed to be monotheistic. There was one Egyptian pharaoh that became monotheistic. It was an androgynous one that they hated and they smashed the face off.
Yeah, that was King Tut's dad.
Yeah, it was an
Was it Akhenaten?
Yeah, and he was so inbred from marrying his sister and his dad and his mother. I mean, they're all related, like so bad that he was.
And they keep that today, don't they? All these royal families are all interbred.
Yeah, same shin, same
bloodline. They don't want the bloodline mixing with anyone else. It has to be, the same bloodline because supposedly they're all related from these tribes.
Yeah, they're trying to keep
that document.
The king, like you said, we have the 12 sons, and then you have the one king, and that one king, they're trying to keep as loyal as sisters were marrying the brothers just to have a child, just the closest relation to father, keeping that magic mono as pure as they can because they had the power of God in their blood. It's
mindful though, isn't it? Because, like I said, we're talking about history now, and you could have 10 people out of the chat, ask them to give you opinion of a Bible verse, and you can guarantee all 10 of them won't give you the same interpretation of what they've read.
Yeah.
So if that's the same with the Bible and then history, documentation, we know history is his story. So you're getting people's different opinions. Then what is going on? Who's the authority saying no? You ignore all them and you go with that. Well, that's like a dictatorship. You just got to look at whatever resonates with you and try and find links. Almost like you're just talking about you have relatives in Germany, but you got the River Danube, haven't you?
Yeah.
And then obviously River Dan. Is that any relation to
Dan? Yeah. Danube from the tribe of Dan. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even what I've just talked about before, that the Danan, Tusanan, they're known as the tribe of gods, and Danu is the hypothetical mother goddess. Yeah.
Well, they were all pagan. Now people understand that they think that the Hebrew were pagans, man. Now I know there's a lot of argument against that, but there's a lot of evidence also. It's kind of like the flat Earth argument. There's evidence on both sides. The reason why they were disbanded was because, according to the Torah and the Bible, is because they were pagan and they had a pantheon of gods. And you said there's a whole different, and plus they had the pagan gods all the way down from the Mediterranean all the way down to the other lands.
It's one of my pet peeves that when people say pagans, then automatically you can't be helped because we've all been brainwashed to some extent. If I said to you pagan, or said to you your any relative or friend pagan, you automatically think of devil worshipper and people running around with horns on. That is what is being portrayed. Everyone, it's not, because if the actual church was the actual one that came up with the term pagan, and it was for anyone who lived off the grid in the country, they were labelled pagans. So if you didn't follow the religion, I mean, you've got people in the chat who are already, religious, but they don't follow, for instance, the Vatican or any other place because they know, what goes on there. They would technically be classed as pagan because they're not following the set religions that's been put out. So if you don't follow the set religions, you are technically a pagan.
There is a pantheon, even within the religions, even within the pagan, even within the monotheistic. No matter how many times they want to resurface that word, they had it too. Which goes back to what I was talking about. What they found the scriptures of Judah and Judas. Now it's Judas. Yeah. And the scriptures, they found out that he was given special information or special stuff from Jesus, or whatever you want to call the guy, whatever his name was. There was no J, but whatever information. And it turns out that he talked about the Gnostic. He had the Gnostic. And Jesus says in his thing, when he talked to the disciples, he laughed at them. According to history, he laughed at them and says, "Have fun worshiping your God. Yours, not mine, yours." He had a whole separate thing. And then Judas was talking back to him like, "What do you mean?" And he talked about within the people give you a rundown of the Gnostic thing. I'm going to give you a nutshell. This is the Gnostic belief. This is a nutshell. This is the fast version. So you had God at one point, God the light, God the light. He has no name. There's no name for it. So God saw his reflection, mirror, mirror, and fell in love with his reflection, which became the female, which became his wife. So you had God and God. God fell in love with God. Okay, I know everyone's going to, oh, yeah, whatever. God fell in love with God. This is the basic version. God fell in love with God, but the female versions, you have the masculine and the feminine. So he fell in love. He had to find somebody, so he found himself. The same thing goes back to when he ripped Athena out of his brain, the feminine. He rips it. He was born her out of his brain. Anyway, so God fell in love with God, which was feminine, and then he had children. He had 7 kids. So he had 7 sons. So he had his sons. And then he, according to the Gnostic beliefs, all the sons had a specific thing to do and specific plants and this, trees, forests, philosophy. They all had a different there's a pantheon. They all had a different job to do. There was one god, and I can't remember. His name was Sockless. It was the fool. He was the, I hate to say this. Now, not me, guys. It's not me. There was one of his gods. His name was Sockless. Okay, he had another whole pantheon of different names. Sockless, we're going to call him. So Sockless wasn't quite inept like the other gods, his brothers. He wasn't that quick. He was the slow one. He was the runt. He wasn't the whatever. So God says, I got a special job for you, son. Your job is to make humans. You're going to be the god of humans. You're going to make humans. You are assigned to making humans. So the foolish one, they call it, Sockless means foolish, simple, whatever. He made humans. Okay. So humans are, their god is Sockless. Technically, he made everybody. So when Sockless made the humans, and then the other brothers, 7, there's 7 total, actually gave them everything else they needed, blah, 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 blah. And then it goes down from there. They call that was supposed to be Jehovah, Sockless, but then above him is All Father, and then the All Father married him. Anyway, this is how the first start of the idea of the monotheistic pagan blur got together, because there are factions of Israelites that had broke off and went up to the mountainsides and lived the ascetic lifestyle that believed this, that God is up here. Then there was the other levels, and then it goes down. Now, it's the same thing with Christianity. When you have God, then you have Jesus. And then he also created his other children, the angels or the jinn or whatever you want to call it. There's a whole pantheon of fucking people that's been created. So it depends. So when we talk about pagan, even Christians are pagan. They don't realize it. Well, they got married. They got across the board.
Now, I'm a regular person.
Yeah.
Like probably a lot of people in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend that I know all the rules of how gods work, but what I know is there's supposed to be a God, there's supposed to be a son of Jesus, and there's angels. But now what I'm hearing is maybe God had created a duplicate of himself as a woman and had seven kids
combined together, had children.
Gods. And I don't know what's true or not. I'm not an expert, but when I hear that, why are the brothers considered gods, but Jesus is a son like the other 7 is not considered a god? Does that make sense?
God incarnate on earth. So God, there's Sockless. If you want to say Sockless comes down and walks around, I don't know. But the actual Father supposedly likes to mingle, but he don't need to do no work because he's got everyone else doing all the work. He's got sons doing all the work. He molded whatever it is. They're both male and female, like the Star of David, male and female. What it is, upside down is a triangle. So these children are not sons. They're just I use the wrong word, sons. Children are both androgynous, all androgynous. So anyway, so God sometimes
a lot of
earth and just kind of cruise around.
What you said, you're talking about androgynous. There's so many androgynous myths of gods being androgynous. From obviously, I talk about Janus a lot and different. You can see him. There must have been a race of androgynous people for this to have carried on.
Yeah, that's the Gnostic belief. Yeah. His children, because God was just light, all Father, and then he mirror on the wall met himself. only could marry himself as a female, feminine, which is the Star of David. So a combined masculine and feminine, and so he had children, or she had, or whatever, after marrying, whatever. And children were androgynous. They both whatevers. One of them was Sockless, who made humans, split between, now they're male and female. Everybody's born female until the hormone kicks in, and then you become male. So everybody's born female until the hormone kicks in. Again, you become male. And then that's the myth. Like who makes the decision to become a man or not a man because everybody's born female. But anyway, so God himself, the All-Father, is chilling. He's got nothing to worry about. He's got the fam working. So he comes, according to the myth, people, comes down like Odin. Big old hat, just kind of cruises around and checks on the fucking grandkids, basically, the grandkids. Seeing everyone's doing. And then kind of throws a little bit of himself everywhere and kind of just does things on his own, then goes back and forth, up and down. So Jesus is supposed to be this almost the same story as Odin. Like Odin, he comes down in human form, which is Jesus. Right. Comes in, Jesus is, in some mythology, Jesus is Odin. I don't know if people like that or not. But yeah, it's kind of the human God, man, that comes down in human form and fucks around. Everything else is being run by the fam, like a big ass mafia.
Yeah, that's why you got the tale of Zeus splitting humans in half, because supposedly we had two heads and all the arms, and we were both androgynous, and he didn't like it. We had power, and he supposedly split us in half. What's funny is people are talking about obviously the serpents and Superman in the chat. Now, what's interesting is, and I don't know why people don't talk about this more, at the time when we're talking about the tribes of Dan and tribes of Israel, Egypt, all this, the North Star was Thuban, and that's in the Draco constellation. The Draco constellation is a S.
Yeah.
So there you got your Superman, not a river, as they say it is. It's actually serpent worship. It's the S. It's from the Draco constellation. So that's why Thuban at the time was in the snake, and that's why you're getting a lot of serpent mounds in the Medicas in Canada, and then you're getting all these serpent worship around the world, because the North Star at the time, the star, the brightest star, was in the snake constellation, or the dragon constellation, as it's known. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that is why you're getting all these, serpent worship stuff. And and if you look at Dan's crest, he actually has a snake on it.
Snake. Yeah. And or dragon. People always mistake. You have a snake and or dragon, like in Asia, the dragon.
Yeah.
The snake.
And then obviously you got the purple dragon.
Yeah.
That's on the crest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then it comes all the way down to modern, which freaked me out, was the George and the Dragon Slayer stories, Yeah,
and then George,
yeah.
Who is from Constantinople, Turkey. Yeah.
It's all there. It's like it was, and then it goes to we talked about it. This is the same mythology, Melusina. The story, I love the story of Melusina, which is the woman that becomes a dragon on Saturdays, or a snake on Saturdays. Yeah, on Saturnalia. We talk about Saturnalia.
Yeah, she didn't want her husband to come in on a Saturday while she was having a bath, because obviously she had the two tails.
Yeah, and then he does, of course, and she bails, but she had two children by him. So we had the two children. I think it was
anyone in the chat. It's a Starbucks logo.
Yeah, Starbucks logo. And you have this story. This is why it's relevant, people, because this story is in South America. So this story is all over the back of this fucking turtle, like we were talking about. It's not just he knows it, I know it. We're from two different countries. We know the same story. South America's had it. South America has it. There's the snake worship in Mississippian culture. The snake worship. This fucking story's there with the natives, man. So this isn't just some story that's fucking they just made up, and like Shakespeare had a fucking I'm gonna write a story about it. No, this is old, really old. Yeah, I love it. I love his old stuff. The snake, the old primeval reptile brain. Who we have here, Eric? Is it gods?
Well, it's 100 lost tribes, Israel. There's these names here. Well, they went up to 12. There's these names here: Reuben, Simon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Gad. So Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. And here, this picture has 12. And of course, some articles says 10.
Well, there's 12. Remember, there were originally 12, but if you want to include the king himself, the old man, it'd be 13. And we also talked about tribes. However, there were one big ass group. So these were just not so much as I like Paul's is like me. These are just guys in charge. These are just brothers in charge of a group. Like, this is my group. Okay, well, the group's hanging out with everybody else's group. So like they're just brothers in charge of just prince. There's 12. And basically, you want to say there's 12 princes. You know what I mean? Instead of 12 tribes. That's what I can think about. And then the 13th would be like Jesus would be the 13th of the 12 apostles. And then the one guy in charge. And then you have the one guy in charge with the 12 sons. That's just another way of looking at it.
And then a lot of articles have this image right here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's the constellations, right? Yeah. Isn't it all? Oh, these are the tribes. Are these the tribes?
That's for that site, isn't it? I sent you the link and you was looking at it already.
Wow.
Yeah, that link here. Let me take this one off. The link he's talking about is where I got the title for this show.
From, 12 sides of the zodiac. Yeah.
Right here. Are the British descendant from the top 10 lost tribes? Then the draft of an article by important Romanian Zionist leader sheds light on an intriguing organization establishment in Great Britain in early 20th century. And then that's where they have this picture.
Interesting. That's an actual old artifact picture. So that's way back. Wow, that's neat, man. Look at that. Yeah. That's really cool. Of course, there's the Libra.
And then interesting discovery was recently made in the National Library's archives, a draft of an article written by Adolf Stern, in which whatever the leader organization, and apparently I don't know what this article here says from Adolf Stern.
Well, that's his handwritten notes. Was he an archaeologist?
It was like a Zionist from the and basically they found this article stating that all from the 16th century onwards, the British king lineage say they're ready from they derive from King David themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The queen herself is supposed to be related to, of course, the blood of Jesus, and as we just recently found out, she's also related to old redhead himself, the Prophet Muhammad, which was red-bearded, red-haired, which was his mother was Jewish, which he was a Caucasoid, as you might say, without people laughing at the name. That's a scientific name, but she's supposed to be. That's why she has the right. She could speak to God just as equal as the Pope. The people don't realize that.
Well, it says here, King of England adheres to King David. The belief among Christian nations that the early European peoples and the British tribes are direct descendant of the 10 lost tribes date back to at least 16th century. In principle, we use, among other things, for basis for England departure from the Catholic Church in Vatican. The followers of the cult were called British Israelites, and that's the picture of the symbol of the British Israelites.
And it ties in because we ceremonies and different things, we always sing, well, I don't sing, but, they always sing Jerusalem, you know what I mean? Yeah. So wait till you get to the bottom. That is obviously talking about the Balfour Declaration when they started to carve up Israel. But just look who the Prime Minister signing and sending a letter to, and it just basically shows you right there. It's right near the bottom, but it's the name. Everyone will recognize it. Now
people don't realize it people don't know, but when they get together, I know this is bullshit. No, it's not conspiracy, man. When they get together, that Bohemian Grove bullshit. Now I know a lot about that. These are family. These are lost tribes that know they've identified themselves. They know what family line they came from. They get together as a family. These are all, they consider themselves Hebrew, like the original, the old. We're talking proto guys, early stuff, not this new thing that you see now. This is not there. There is what you see now. Practice is no different than a Jehovah's Witness for a Christian. It's just this outrageous version of the original monotheistic idea. That was anyway. So these guys practice the old stuff, the old ways. Like they still have their own version of what's that? The cabal. They call it cabal. There's all that is it means the word, like written information, the secret stuff. They have their own version of the cabal from way, way, way back. These are ancient families, and we're talking about they're connected, so they consider themselves part of the lost tribes. People don't know that. I mean, they know they are. These are RH negatives. They've linked themselves to the tribes. They've always had that faith. They might even call themselves Christians. They're not, but they're at the old faith they have the pantheon of gods also. So they have a whole different, the owl. They got them all.
Yeah. Well, this letter here is a Foreign Office, November 2nd, 1917. And it says, Dear Rothschild. What a Rothschild.
Yeah,
I know that's the S or
famous
A.
banking system. They own all the state banks.
Yeah, it says I have much pleasure in conveying to you on behalf of His Majesty government the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the cabinet. His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of the national home for the Jewish people, and will use the best endeavors, the words sometimes look blurry, to facilitate the achievement of the object, it being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political statutes enjoyed by Jews in any other country. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. Federation. Okay.
So this is that's when it all started to go. Like for the Palestinians, they signed this, obviously the Balfour. And it's just started getting carved up a few years later. You're talking about the UN last week.
Yeah.
That's when he met, when that started in 1946 or 47 or something. It was not long after the war, and they started carving that region up to give it to the Israelis, the Zionists.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because people are talking about, obviously, because we're talking about 13 and they're talking about Asphyxius, the constellation, the Serpent bearer.
Oh,
it's funny because it's always triggered me that, because originally it was an eagle, and I cannot find a date when someone decided that to axe the eagle and bring in a guy holding a snake, and that's always because we know about serpent worship and different things like that. So it's always got me why they seem to be bringing in this serpent.
It could have been around. Let me see. It might have been Romans, as recent as the Romans. They changed a lot of the constellations from the original Egyptians. They've got their own spin on it. They had remember when the gods all changed? They were Greek, and then all of a sudden the names all changed, and then all of a sudden the constellations changed. Oh, there we go.
You see there's Asphyxius, and it's originally an eagle. It's very similar to the United States one,
which is Roman.
You know what I mean? So, and that got changed to a serpent, a guy holding a snake.
I wonder if that's Roman. See, that's what I think the Romans probably did that. Remember, they changed the calendar. They've changed a lot of things. They've changed a lot of things. People talk about like the Aztec calendar being done at fucking the year 12. No, it's not. 2012. Our time based off the Roman calendar.
People are talking about it just above Sagittarius. And what's funny is because in just above Sagittarius, you got the Scorpion, and in Sumerian they have two Scorpion type gods who guard the gates of hell. You know what I mean? So it's just an intriguing when you talk about the constellations, and people are talking, is there a 13th? Is there a 14th? The Dogon, who a lot of people look into, they only had 8 constellations. You know what I mean? So it gets changed. I mean, we've had 13 months in regard to the Vikings, had 13 months, went with the moon cycles and women's periods. You know what I mean? So
they do it based off where the sun actually passes through. I was that last time you were on, we did the research for the third. They had that book out, the 13th Zodiac. Yeah. And you look at it and you watch it, and where the sun literally passes through 13 zodiacs, which throws the whole calendar off, you know, and it goes through one constellation for under 3 days or something like that. I mean, so you can't just have 1 month. You have 1 month that has 30 days, 31 days, or 29, whatever, but then it only goes through that one constellation for 3 days. So technically 1 month has 2 different constellations, or you have 13 constellations for, it's all.
Well, Longreach One wrote, Julian calendar, the first year began in the 3rd month. They skipped 3 months the first year.
Yeah, it's
so
all
they changed it. And, you know, when I talk about the Great Vowel Shift, changed the Julian, the Gregorian calendar, they brought, obviously, Janus into January being the 1st, which is not. It shouldn't be the 1st, you know, January. It goes off like the months, you know, like Sept is 7 and so on. And it's just been wish-wash. It's basically to confuse everyone. It's like, if you think about it now, if you born this month and that month has changed and this and what is going on? Because it doesn't matter if people don't believe in the zodiac or astrology, they do.
Yeah,
they work off their fortunes through rituals in the sky. It's like when this COVID shit kicked off, you had the Corona Borealis hitting the front of the ship of Hercules' ship. Noah's Ark in the sky, and that was when everything kicked off. So these people believe in it. Doesn't matter if you don't believe in it.
They're following it. Now, I debunk. That's my thing, and I'm gonna tell everybody from my research that there are people that are doing things by the stars. I have never seen it so easily and clear to me. Like Paul said, they are doing it by the constellation. They're doing it. Astrology is in full flux, man. And I think that's actually in the Christian Bible or the Bible, the Torah, all the whatever is the sacreds, blah, blah, blah. In religion, they're following the fucking so everything that's happening will happen on that particular day with that date and that constellation alignment. Like, oh, that's not weird at all. That's, of course, perfectly planned by somebody doing some stuff. Which goes back to old rituals, old magic, or whatever you want to call it. They're following it. Okay, this is not a conspiracy. I've seen it, Paul's seen it. I know people have it's pretty obvious now that we're following they're following the constellations. Who are they? All the ancient families. The old families.
Like what we say now, we talk about tribes of Israel being 12, 13, the constellations are the same. And you see all these 12 and 13s significantly in our history. So it's you just got to make you think, are they talking about months, there's been families, day, you know what I mean? Everything seems to be mixed and rewritten, but they need a code for them to remember or trigger certain things. You know what I mean? So, you know, is certain families in charge of certain things? Like, for instance, whatever the Rothschilds emanate from, are they there in sort of money and banking system? Then you have this type of family that are in charge of that. Did they actually sit down? For instance, I mean, have you ever watched like films John Wick?
Yeah.
Talk about the top table, all the families on the top table. Well, these people are like the top table. You have the crown, and then you have all these families. They haven't changed. That's why they're into bread. So these win a war against X amount of other families to gain power. You know what I mean? So these, you just got to think, what is the actual tribe of Israel? And if you're talking about like him from Ra, the god, what's happened? I mean, when did history start being his story, or has it always been that way? Then you go even deeper. Does this actually matter what we're talking about? Because some people actually that's so downhearted. It's like, why bother? And you can't be like that because then you've let them win.
You let them win.
And you can't let them win. It's like me. I shut my channel down because they were shutting it down for me.
Yeah.
They would actually give me strike. And it would have been a matter of hours or days till it shut down. And I thought, well, no, I'm not going out like a whimper. I'll go out on my own terms. Yeah. And goodbye, YouTube. And I'll start my own channel and I'll start again.
Yeah. Let's do it again.
We have to like fight in our own way. People have their own way, and just don't let the bastards win.
Yeah. I mean, I'm honestly, and I'm on the ropes on the winning thing. Now people think I'm crazy for this. I said, are they doing things bad? What bad things have they done? And I keep trying to find out. I play both sides. I'm going to be a chaotic, neutral, non-biased anthropologist. I'm not going to pick them as bad. I'm not going to pick us as good. I'm going to pick us all the same. Now, what do they want? Like, I'm trying to figure out what is it. Are people really getting hurt? Are they really dying? Who's the one suffering? Well, there's people. Well, people always suffer. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, there's always a ditch digger. No matter if you could have a utopia and everyone's sitting around going, we have a free society. We're all free to do what we want. Okay, raise your hand. Let's do sanitation because I got to take a shit. Who wants to dig the ditch? Nobody raises their hand. So you're by yourself digging the ditch for everyone else to shit. Now, who's suffering? Yeah. So who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? Are the royal families bad? Are they good? Again, people, I put this out there for food for information.
Come on, Eric. What's your thoughts? Me and Rob, not shut up. Come on, what's your thoughts?
No, dude, I'm just listening and like a lot of people, this is a lot to take in.
Yeah.
All of it because it's a lot. I mean, it's the 12th tribe, 13th tribe, and then like here's if you go to Wikipedia, there's a book. There actually is a book called The 13th Tribe.
13th Tribe.
By author Kostler. The 13th, let me see here. 13th Tribe is a 1976 book in which the author advances to the actually Jews are not descended from the historical Israelites. I'm not going to read the whole. I'm not going to read the whole Wikipedia, but you even got a book from 1976 that's called the 13th Tribe.
The Ashkenazi.
And now we're in 2020, 2021. I almost forgot what year we're in.
Well, them Khazars went to Russia, and they are influential, not good guys. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? It's interesting.
Yeah, this one, I've never seen this book a day in my life. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's been out there. Again, it's just me, people. Don't be jumping on them. Don't be calling it anything other than I didn't know about it. I should have known about it, but I have not. It came out of nowhere for me. I'm like, what the fuck?
I mean, you even got talk. Sorry, Rob. No, like the Khazars are linked. Some people believe the Khazars are basically another, like, the Tartary that's coming out. People will say Khazars. You will have people that are saying that the Tartarian are the Turkish people, and you've got the Mongolian. So people are, as I said, arguing over the fact that the Tartarians are this. I mean, you've got to say it. Are the Tartarians even real?
Yeah,
because it all started from one document linked in Russia.
Yeah.
Now, you've seen all the architecture, and we know, obviously, people's not done it, and all that, but you have to keep everything on the table. It's not me saying it's not true.
Yeah.
But when we go into different communities, people just lose themselves and don't sometimes stand back and go, really? I mean, that's counteracting what I think there. And, but because they all say it's true, I'll go along with that. Yeah. You just have to look at it like I do, you know what I mean? It's all information, and we have to, like, someone just mentioned The 13th Warrior. That's one of my favorite films.
Me too, by the way.
You know what I mean? Antonio Banderas. And then obviously, you know what I mean? That could be linked to this 13 that we're talking about, because it's a significant number.
Queen of Swords says, great discussion, great show.
Oh, thanks.
It is. It's a heavy discussion. I don't pretend that I know any of this. It's just so fucking interesting because in my way of thinking, I hear lost tribes, and I'm always thinking, well, why are they lost in the first place? I mean, if they're part of history, why we call them lost tribes?
Well, here's the thing:
we don't talk about them. I mean, there's stories about this.
They're not really lost. That's the thing. We're trying to break. I think that's what Paul's trying to say, and I'm trying to say is they know who they are. They're not lost. We're told they're lost. They ain't lost.
I know. That's what I mean.
Can't be talking about them if they're lost.
We just don't know that they're just keeping that lineage secret. They're not actually lost. That's the whole point. I think if you walk away with one thing that we've discussed is they ain't lost. Okay, we don't know about it. They ain't lost.
There's thousands, millions of conspiracies out there. Yep. Everybody says this is the biggest conspiracy, that's the biggest conspiracy, government's biggest conspiracy. But technically, if the lost tribe, if you think about it, couldn't that be considered like one of the biggest conspiracies ever? Yeah, that they don't want this information really out to.
It's just not relevant to everybody. That's the problem. If you ain't kin, it's not relevant to you, and so it would only cause some information. Will cause a racial divide, and it will cause problems. It will cause problems.
That's it. It's right. It's all about divide. If you think about it, we're talking about tribe of Dan. Where are they now? Did they split up? The Syrians send some packing? Are they in the UK? Are they in Ireland? Are they in Wales? Are they in Egypt? Are they in Africa? Did they come from the States? And then you'll have people believing in, Israel is in Scotland. Israel is in Africa.
Yeah.
And it causes divide because people are arguing over them. In fact, instead of picking the head up and thinking, you know what, they are them, or whoever they are, they're the enemy, not us. You can have a different opinion, but they're the people that we have to worry about and, trying because you're never going to really get to them because people think, the Rothschilds that we've talked about, this family. The people in power, you will not know who they are.
No,
it's not. You know what I mean? They're the foot soldiers. The people in power sit there, and it's them who we have to try and somehow figure out who they are.
Yeah.
But will you ever? But you can have fun, surely, talking about these topics. And people get so triggered and aggressive and angry. And no, I'm right.
Yeah, just go to Reddit. Everybody thinks they're right on there.
Well, they put the face and act on. Now, again, I was in Freemasonry, and I'm gonna tell people the secret of Freemasonry. It was acting. It was like going to acting school. You did skits, and so these guys are trained to do skits. That's what your job is. So something's gonna happen. We need something to move in this direction. So we're gonna need you guys to go out and act like this. You guys are gonna juggle on the street. You guys are going to do this, and that's your job. You practice skits the whole time. You memorize massive sets of lines to do skits. So the on the top, the masculine, the feminine, anyway, the very tippity top are like, okay, you guys are going to be doing these skits because we're going to have something happen. We need to move the entire world into this direction. Because we have a 500-year plan. In order for us to get to this 500-year plan, we need everybody on the same page. So make a phone call. I know people are like, it's not that complex. It is that complex, and it's also that simple. It is that simple. I was in there. One phone call. I need you guys to go out and do this, this, and this. By the way, you're going to be a woman, huh? But they don't believe in death. So if you know about there is no death, it's just simply transition. But that's your philosophy, then why not have artificial boobs put in? So you got Bruce Jenner doing his part, the diehard Republican. Now, the dude is fake, man. Yeah. Now, we talk about that quantum businessman that's now running around making with that group. The dude's pretending to be a crackhead. Just saying to people that watch this guy, I'm like, he's pretending to be on drugs. Not on. I took the classes. I've been in that area. I know people. He ain't on no drugs. He's faking it. Okay. It's his job. A lot of people on the internet that do these kind of discussions are, in fact, in the Freemasonry, and it's their job. They're not bad people, but it's their job to get you guys spinning. That's their job. Yeah. I know a lot of people on the internet that are in the guild. Again, I was in the guild, still am. I'm not spinning nobody because I ain't from here. I'm just mentally insane. But I'm from fucking another place. But that's their job. People on top, like Paul says, you don't know what they look like.
No.
Because they need in order for them to stay in the back and not be seen, they need Bruce Jenner to step up and act like a fool. So you look at him. You need the Rothschild to act like an asshole. You need a pedophile ring to happen. Make it happen. Make it up. It don't have to be real.
That's that whole thing where you want to leak the truth out a little bit, but what you do is you give it to the dumbest people and have them talk about it, because then everybody thinks the truth, it's not the truth because they're all nutballs. So the truth really gets watered down.
9/11.
Not to the smart people, you're giving it to the dumb people.
9/11. Let's get some 9/11 truthers going. Anybody with a raise your hand. I'm gonna be 9/11 truther. You got it, dude. Get out there and be serious. Make sure you get all the information out there, you idiot. You're gonna get it out wrong. Just basically,
it's a crazy world that we live in. Some people obviously want to get out of this place.
Yeah,
but I'm in the stage where I've never had, in the sense of wanting to learn so much information, and just put my spin on it, and people take it personally. Like I've actually come into the house, kicked the door down, and blah, 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 blah. It's not, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. I mean, there's so many weird things going on. When we was younger, it used to be like normal reality, normal things, nothing weird happened. And as we're growing older, we're noticing that this place is like magic and shit and crap. It's like
comic book. Yeah,
it is like a film.
Like a film.
Yeah.
That's what we call it, a comic book here. On our show, we call it's a comic book. We tell people, you can come in here with whatever philosophy, whatever you want. We just call it a comic book because it seems to be a nice universal way of everyone having a smile about reality at the moment. It's like when you have a workplace, everybody hates the music, but if you put on oldies, everybody's happy with this oldies music. Nobody complains. We call it a comic book. Like you said, it's fucking like a big ass movie, comic book.
And you always do like the Matrix stuff and different things. And what makes me laugh is because I talked about it in an old video that you have Agent Smith there. Agent Smith. Well, in England, when we want to make something, we go, well, not anymore, but you used to go to a smithy. And that's why they've done it. Agent Smith, a smithy. He wanted to mold things in his own way. You go there, you know what I mean? So, and then you have the architect. All these things are put there for you to look at. And people don't see them. They just talk about Agent Smith or Neo, but Smith, it's a smithy.
Yeah, that's right. Smith. Yeah, that does line up 100%. Yeah, a smither, smithy.
Yeah,
a blacksmith. A smith. Yeah, blacksmith, yeah. The smith. It's a smither. He puts it together. So yeah, I guess Agent Smith would be, he'd be a smithy.
Yeah, and it's just crazy when you have a look at it. And doesn't mean we're all right. You know what I mean? It's just your opinion. At time, I could be talking about something now to you guys. Tomorrow it'll change because I've seen something else, and it makes it easier for me to look at. And it's so weird because we have all these different theories, and that's what they've done. If you think about it, when we were talking about before, how can there be no defined thing? I could say to you, look up Jesus or look up Tartaria, and 1,000 people look it up and come back with so much different. What happened to fact? There doesn't seem to be much fact anymore. Have you not noticed that when we're looking into a topic, like there should only be one thing, and then everything else should be like a variant, or it's not. It's crazy. It's like that's what I can't get my head around. Why? When did it all change? That it went from being something I knew was fact to it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this.
Everything's like that. Yeah, I had a moment today. I thought it was unusual for me. And again, people, when I talk about things that I misremember or it's something new to me, it's only me. Don't mean that you don't remember it, and don't feel bad if you do. It's just me. Yeah. And I was doing. I did a show before on the 13 Tribe. Eric and I had. You were on. I think we were on it, doing the 13 tribes. And again, somebody else is like, "Dude, you know all about it." I said, "No, I don't." There's a where the fuck? There was this portion of the Bible. There's a name in here. Mike. Oh, here it is. Micah. Micah. It's like 3 pages. And I go, not done research in this thing 1,000 times. This is my research. I have never seen that name before. That's what the fuck is it? I'm reading it today. Again, it's always been there.
Yeah.
Just me. I have never seen it. I have never seen this before, and I had read it today, and it's got some really cool information that I thought it was unusual for what we're talking about today. So if you guys want to read anything on today's show, guys, if you want to read something interesting, look up in the Bible, Micah, M-I-C-A-H. I just never heard of this person. This is another prophet that was talking to, it was right before the Syrians attacked the other tribes up north, and this prophet named Micah, ironically, was telling them, hey guys, God's pissed at you because you're worshiping all these idols. Now, I don't know if it's true, but it's right here. And I was like, that's weird. I did research on this 100 times. I've never seen that fucking name before. So, like you talked about, some days you think you got it, and then you just pick up the book and now the whole new spin. I don't remember this. Wait a minute. It gives you a little more. We always thought chasing the dragon's tail, man. It gives you a little more and a little bit more and a little bit more. But
so I have nothing against like flat earthers or anything like that, but they always talk about Polaris being the only North Star and it's fixed. And I say, well, sorry, no, it's not always been the North Star. And it's like, no, you're lying. I've had people call me a liar. I said, listen, just go and research it. And then they don't come back and apologize. There's actually been a few North Stars, and it's going to change again, not in our lifetime, but it's going to change again to another star. So, you know what I mean? Things are not what.
But, Bob, you guys are right. We're in a comic book world.
Comic book.
But one of the biggest changes I have seen it seemed like more in the last month or 2 months. I know we had the discussion before, and people in the chat. I think Paul, you're in the chat. Where now there's people that are supposed to be truthers. They're supposed to be talking about the truth. Are now telling people, don't research anymore, don't study anymore. And now, Paul, you said something correct. Well, Paul said something correct that most people don't. Most people don't. A lot of people don't. But it's like, why would you tell people stop researching, stop listening to different people, just listen to me? It seems like this change is happening more and more, where even the government, nobody wants you to learn anything anymore. Yeah. It's increased even more. And people that I thought I respected at one time are now coming out and saying everything's already been written. You don't need to read anything anymore.
Don't do it.
Things might be written, but it doesn't mean you read everything in the first place. It's just so weird. One guy even said that you shouldn't. I'm not going to tell people they should go to school or not. One guy even said you shouldn't even go to college anymore. I mean, it's just so weird of this mind change.
Yeah, that's the agenda. I feel that's the agenda. There's an agenda. No education. Don't do research. Believe in parallel time. I'm using the word. Guys. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just using the words that's being pushed out. Draconian. Ground zero. Parallel timelines. Quantum. I can't. Fuck. If I hear quantum again, I'm gonna throw the fuck up. It's constantly. There's words that are constantly being used over and over and over and over again. It's like, okay, so you want a dumbass debutante motherfucker that don't know shit. I get it now. And every man should grow a set of boobs and be androgynous. I don't know. And be sensitive to people that want to cry. You're crying. I should give you fucking tissue.
Yep. People cry at me, Rob. People call me everything because people are talking like you just said, androgynous. And that's what they want to do. Hollywood, pedowood and all that. And I tell them, obviously I'm regard to Janus because he's androgynous. He is obviously the Actors Guild, the face masks, the actual drama and comedy is the face mask of the guild.
Yeah.
And he's associated, but that's just an entity. That's like a part of it. And Doesn't mean I'm right. It just means I've looked at that topic and seen the connection. But that's just me. I've seen the connection. Does not mean you can see the connection. And that's why I never call anyone who says, well, I believe in this, because I just don't see what you see.
Yeah.
And sometimes sometimes things don't click. But you have to do the research. You have to look. And then you don't have to, for instance, that's what Eric was on about. People don't research, and they don't. It's a case of you can go on internet and click, then they just look at the top line. They don't. You have to go
into it.
Yeah,
in the middle. The answer's in the middle, not on top, not on the bottom, in the middle.
Yeah, there's more on there. Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more information.
Tony's on about Mercury there. Mercury, that's linked to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't pretend to he knows a lot of stuff, because I don't know a lot of stuff. I know a little bit about everything, but not a lot of stuff. Main reason we're doing a show today about the 10 tribes, so I can learn more.
Yeah,
I'm part of the host on this. You guys know more about it than I do, and I like listening and learning.
It's not that we know more; it's just that he's like me. He just likes to fucking.
Well, both of you got your research. And it's cool. Yeah, both of you got different research, and it's cool to hear different research.
Yeah, it's
on
more,
the topics.
More. I didn't know about, like, what was it? Paul was talking about. Oh my god, that was fucking awesome. It was Janus and the island, the Antarctica, and some of them islands we were connected to. What was that one with Janus? It like fit 100% with the name, and it was to do with Antarctica.
Yeah, the gateways.
The gateway, yes. It was like, wow. Oh, that's cool.
Well, it's a new, not that, but like the people's on about in chat of some Mercury in Las Vegas. So I've just started the new videos of looking into towns, cities. I've done Las Vegas, and that was tied to Mercury. I've done New York, that's tied to Venus.
Okay.
And I actually showed a possibility that Venus is the Statue of Liberty. But it's actually Venus Cluchina, which was it's known as a purifier, and I've found coins actually looking like the Statue of Liberty, which is Venus. Yeah. But also it ties into Venus is known as you know, Isis. It's known as Aphrodite. It's known as Inanna, Ishtar. There's so many names that Venus character is known as. Yeah. One of the names that she's known as is Saint Mary. Now, St. Mary, the day British took over New York, is on a day tied to St. Mary.
Oh.
So that is why there's a link straight away with St. Mary and all them other gods to the statue. And then you got the 5-pointed star, which is the Venus star.
Yeah.
Famous street in New York, 5th Avenue. The famous district that went, the gangs of New York, 5 points.
Yeah.
So you have all those links, and like Las Vegas is tied to Mercury. So all these towns are tied to gods as an honor, and it just makes sense. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And people are talking about, I thought Liberty was Isis. Isis is just another name for Venus.
Yeah.
All gods, like you've said at the beginning, all gods are interchangeable. They've not done anything different. They've just gone, right, in this civilization, I'll call it Isis. In here, I'll call it Saint Mary. I'll call it Inanna. I'll call it Ishtar. I'll call it Astor. So it's all the same.
Well, yeah, it goes back to the Gnostic thing. Yeah. That's why I brought it up for people to give you guys a basic format, which trickles down. Everything we're saying is the old Gnostic one. You had the masculine, which was a light, which was the male god. God saw his reflection according to the mythos, and his mythos was his female form, his feminine. He combined together. He become androgynous, male and female, but with two separate entities in the heavens. Had children. The children become 7 of the children, and the children were androgynous, both male and female. And then from there, they've all had specific jobs. And then you had the one they called the fool, according to the Gnostics. The fool, Sockless. Look it up yourselves. Sockless was the one in charge of making humans. But when he made humans, he made them in both male and female. He separated them. And then from there, we have what we have now. And you were talking about how Zeus originally, in the same different kind of story, I remember what you were talking about. He made them Or was it all males first? Was it all males, or it was all males?
Well, you have a weird tale. You have him doing whatever he was doing, but
Yeah.
there was like two-headed people running around as well. Now he doesn't say he created them. He just said he was pissed off. He was angry that they had too much power, did blah 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 like they did, and he split them in half, creating, you know, like the your soulmate is out there because he split you in half, but he split that one entity into two, even though we had two heads, 4 arms, you know, like we are now, and he split them in half.
Yeah, so that would actually, so Zeus, if you guys take it over to the other culture, which is the Hebrew Gnostics, it's the same story now, guys. So Sockless, the full god, the god that was whatever less whatever, would be Zeus. See, so Zeus would be Sockless. So Sockless is this emotionally not unstable, but just not entirely. Like he would describe how he did the splitting, and he made the two-headed, and he made the split. His emotion, because he's all full of emotion, so he's making whatever from himself is making these. He made humans of himself, which Zeus, which is an emotional roller coaster ride. That's why he was chosen to make it. Which goes, but remember, even Zeus had a father. It goes up that ladder too, which goes back to so they all overlap. I mean, the Gnostics, of Israel, of the Gnostics, and almost look over. If you look at like you talk about with Zeus, it's the same fucking story.
Yeah, they're just like every culture had. They just took that, and we'll take that, and we'll take this, and it was just different. Now people always argue with me, "Oh, you're wrong." Well, listen, it's not. I'm not saying this. I'm telling you what history's saying.
What history's saying, yeah.
You don't have to agree with me or hate me. I'm not saying it. It's what the information is out there.
I love that. That is just so true. I'm just reading you what I'm reading here.
Messenger, man. Just the messenger of taking all these different stories and telling you how they compare to each other.
Honestly, you wouldn't believe the grief I get over Majalis research. Oh, he's insignificant. And I'm just telling people, how can it be insignificant when he so-called, not me, they say he's not any Greek or anything of equivalent. So you've got a god there who's not from the Greek or anything else.
They just took it and redid it again. That's all that is. Because if we go back to the Gnostics with the Israelites, you had the androgynous offspring of God. Androgynous. And then you can think of the both male and female. Two faces. They could have. We didn't say they looked human. Humans have a big problem. In anthropology, the biggest problem with the fucking human brain is that we anthropomorphic everything. Stuffed animal like a bear, it looks a little bit human. If you get a frog, it's going to look a little bit human. So every time you think of a god, you automatically make him look like a human. So instead of saying an androgynous god with both whatever, it could be the Baphomet or the fucking whatever, the both the male and female, they're androgynous. You could have somebody with two heads, both coming and going in the philosophy. You could have anything you want. We anthropomorphic a human figure to them. We could, or they're half human, or they're quarter human, or we anthropomorphic everything. We look up at the fucking clouds, you see faces, human faces. If you do see a dog face, it looks a little human. You know, we make up werewolves. We make up dogmen. We make up anything half human. That's what we do. We mix things up in our heads. So gods always look half human or maybe half woman, half man. You have two, but androgynous is just the word we're using. So, like, I think, like you're talking about Janice we had an Aunt Janice, which is kind of fucking crazy.
She was crazy.
We had Uncle Will. She was great. We had Uncle. We had an Uncle John, Big John, Old John. We had David, Uncle David. We had Aunt Janice. Eric and I had all the gods' names or all the anyway. But yeah, so Janice is how you want to think of Janice. So these people who just took everything and just made a whole new face, because you said that Zeus did that already. Zeus made both man with two heads, and I've seen them. I've seen the drawings. Like, I know what you're talking about. I've seen them old ancient drawings of the man with the human head and a woman's head from that story you talked about. I was like, oh, that's the story. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what you're on about Sockless? I think it's Sackless, isn't it, or something like that? That
Yeah.
isn't that entity tied to, and it is because you mentioned Demiurge.
Yeah, the Demiurge. Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole pantheon. Yeah. That's that whole. Kabbali, Hebrew Gnostic stories of the continued stories of God, like not just God, His Son, and then the Holy Ghost. No, now it's more like God, His other self, feminine self, and then the offspring, and then like the whole pantheon. Exactly.
Well, doesn't it actually say in the Bible that God tells people don't worship other gods? So that is actually stating.
But then you also have His children that say worship.
Yeah. He's saying he's actually stating don't worship other gods. So he knows there's other gods out there. Whether it's
he's got his offspring. He's got his.
You know what I mean? So it's out there, but this is just what confuses not just me and a lot of other people when you see different things, and then you'll have someone who's supposedly smart saying, "No, you have to believe this," and this is how all these things start. Where you have different people who say, "No, this is a fact, and if you don't believe this, you know, you're a shill and all that crap." It's not. It's just your opinion of what you've read. I was talking. I was talking to a guy today in the gym. He always gets me, and I can't get anything done because he's asking me all these questions about all COVID and different things, and he was going on, and I was saying, he's saying my son's got degrees, this and this, and I went, yeah, well, what's that? It's worthless. I said, because what he's been taught, if it's a lie, you know what I mean? He's just been taught this, and then he's going to go out and teach the same thing. It doesn't mean he's clever. It just means he's remembered what they have told him. He said, what you should be promoting is people thinking critically, differently, out the head. For instance, if I say something to you now and you can think straight away of something else, that is thinking critically. You're thinking out the box, and you're not thinking of what the system is making you think. They're the people that they or whoever they are, they're the people they want stopping. The people who can think on their own, not part of this. You know, I give you a topic, you come up with something different. It's because you think critically, you think different.
Yeah, that's why I always say,
don't want people to think different.
Yeah, that's why I always put my disclaimers first. I always say, in the narrative. When I say in the narrative, that's the current narrative. That's what's being talked about in the academic circles, which doesn't mean it's right. It just means this is the narrative. You take the narrative and throw it away and then add to it or change it, because education is supposed to be you taking it and then changing it and trying to figure out what the truth is. But then again, don't just stick to it, because everything can change. Just write it down. Just write it down and have it there, because Paul, that just throws this one out. But I'll keep mine just in case. I'm going to add yours and keep it there with the rest of it. I'm going to keep it together until I see the next puzzle. Oh, now I got it. Mine was right and his was right. It connects the two, because now you have this religion from this mythos. It's the same damn mythos. Yeah. Oh, shit.
And when I was telling her about, you know, basically his son's no, I was polite, you know what I mean? I wasn't like vindictive or anything. But I said, basically, now I can see on your face you're getting a bit standoffish and you're getting a bit angry because I'm talking about your son's like basically just relearning lies and different things. I said, why does that hurt you? And I said, I can tell you straight away before you even say anything, because to you, it's the truth. And what I'm saying, you know, and you thinking I'm lying, is my truth. Now, what is in the middle of truth? And he was looking at me and he went, you. Because you is in the truth. And I said, it doesn't mean this truth is fact.
No.
So what happens with a lot of people in the community, they believe their truth is fact.
Yeah. No.
But it's not. It's just another trap. It's a rut. That's why you've got R-U-T in truth. So it can trap you into, that's what's happening with these communities. It's trapping you in it, thinking, right, this is the only truth, and you believe anything else. No, it's all information.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It can either trap you or set you free. Again, the truth will set you free, and it'll also trap you because it has a rut in it.
Yeah,
And what's at the center of it all is you. So that is why they try and influence us by indoctrinating us, because we're the holders of the truth. It's in us. It's why they call it researching, because you're re-looking for information that you already know.
Yeah.
It's been brainwashed.
Search it one more time. Yeah. You know, it's all important to a person until you stub your toe. And then that toe fucking hurts. And you forget all about what you're all locked into. You know, there's still a life. You still have a life. You still got to eat, drink, sleep, shit. You got to do things. Just, you know, take these other things as fun puzzles. I call them puzzles. They're puzzles. I get to play with puzzles.
Like the tribe of Dan, tribe of Israel, all them different tribes. It's a piece of the puzzle.
Piece of the puzzle, man. The bigger piece. And then you just try to, and then it's great coffee shop information. You get to sit there and debate and have fucking fun talks. And, oh, I fucking write that one down. That's good stuff. It's information. It's the narrative. This is the narrative that I got. This is the narrative that I got. This is the sources I got from. Questionable. You know, the other person says, this is the narrative that I heard. Questionable. You know, when they say narrative, it means question. They get it right now. Okay. Because they got it from somewhere else, and somewhere else it's a retranslation of this story from this story to this story. Janus is another translation from this. These two took all this information, just made that one figure. These people took it from this story, and you know the story of Odin. Now you have Jesus. Odin was hung from a tree. Jesus was hung from a tree. Now the story. Okay.
And then you'll get someone who'll say, "Well, actually, in Roman eras, they actually hung them on X's, and that is where the cross comes from." And people automatically think the cross. And in fact, it's that cross. It's the X. X marks the spot. You know what I mean? So you have all that, and that is just someone else's opinion that's gone through into, you know, our realms. So you've done, you got, oh, it's a cross of Tammuz, and then it's a cross, you know what I mean? So there's different things, and this is where we're getting to is what is true? Who says it's true? Who's the defined person that stamps his little seal on it and saying you have to believe that because that is the truth?
Well, I pissed off somebody one time. I was just saying, well, what if the cross is actually a measurement from the eigen value, which is the location within the matrix? So if you have a string on the matrix, and you have a string of lines going this way, and a string of lines, and you're looking for a location specifically in time and space, you would have it would be an X, it'd be a cross, it'd be a mark, it'd be where your eigen value. That's where you measure.
And that's what you used to do, didn't you? If you couldn't read or write, you'd cross your name as an X.
Yeah. I go, so basically the cross is just where it is in time and space. It's a mathematics symbol. No, I'm just saying. It's another math measurement. Something in time and space. Was Jesus a time traveler? And then so this cross represents him in that point in time? Because obviously, if you have the Bible and he's now at the beginning of the book and makes his way all the way to the end, so technically there's a cross mark in each where he goes all through time and space. It's the eigen value. It's exactly where he is in time and space that marks where he's at. Jumping through quantum, whatever, blah, 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 if you want to go that direction.
Never heard of that.
Cross.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I go, so
That's very interesting.
And then, like you said, X marks the spot. That's just the treasure. Where's the treasure? Yeah. Follow the X.
And then obviously you got X means 10 because that's what thing is on about, which is Lucky K is talking about. But then you've got secret societies and Pythagoras. 10 is the holiest number.
Yeah.
So 10X, and then you know what I mean. So you can get lost in it, and that's why I say to people, it's easy to get lost down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But to me, I love it. I dive in. Because, you know what I mean? I treat it all as information. I don't say, even when my Janice research into things, I don't take it personally. It's just research, it's information. And I always move about and remember different things and try and connect them all, because you shouldn't be able to connect X and then something else down the line. You shouldn't be. You know, things have the set path. And, you know, it's so confusing, but I love that confusion.
Yeah.
Because it's like a new day. People are crying for me because I've lost my channel with all the subs, and I'm buzzing because now I get to do it again.
Yeah, it's just funny.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and that's what's exciting to me. Plus, some of the old videos, it's giving me more time to put my feet up because I can just put my old videos up at a certain point and make more. I'm making newer ones at the side. You know what I mean? So I've made one on spell etymology, which is my skit on etymology. And the word I've done on that is create. You won't believe when that comes out what that in brings to game. And then I'm doing one on the dendra light bulb.
Oh yeah.
And I'm showing people, in fact, it's not a light bulb. So this will trigger a lot of people. It's actually an incubator.
Oh shit.
And people say, no, it's not an incubator. We'll have a look at the pictures.
We'll see it. I want to see it.
Zoom in and have a look at the pictures. And when you see it, you tell me if it's a light bulb and a filament, why does a light bulb have an eye?
Oh,
why does it have an eye and gills?
No one's mentioned that. That's the new one for me. That's fun.
Tell me. And then people don't realize then you're talking about dendra, right? Why is there a light bulb? Because I'm just going off what the society is saying. Why is a light bulb in dendra? And people think, oh, we'll just take that as because they say it is. When you have a look at the facility it's in, the actual temple complex, it is a fertility temple. So then you're thinking fertility, incubator, growing something. It makes more sense.
Oh, that In archaeology, there's a same subject, by the way. I'm not changing subject. There's a group of guys who do dendrochronology.
Trees and different things,
They studied tree rings, which is one of the most fucking. I mean, out of all those measurements, I think
it's more accurate.
Tony would love dendrochronology because there ain't nobody fucking lying about trees. Trees don't lie. I did my math and I just did the isotope on blah. I set my machine up and I've measured the fucking. This is 5,201,000,001. But with dendrochronology, which is just tree rings, you ain't lying. It's just tree don't lie. A living thing don't lie. But it goes with your dendro.
It's just got me. People say dendro light bulb and they're talking about free energy and Tartarian and all this. But if you look at it, why is it, if it's a light bulb, why does it have an eye? And people say, oh, well, it's metaphorically because it's alive, it's the filament. No, they wouldn't draw a bloody eye or gills, and then you wouldn't have it. The light bulb has a lotus bottom. A lotus is creation, right? So you have it coming out, and there's actually a picture at the side of it of one open out of the glass, and it's got gills and it's got scales.
Oh my God, it's an incubator. That's interesting.
Why do people ignore all this? Because we don't want to talk. As soon as you mention parasites or reptilian, people think you're crazy. Now, I'm not saying these are facts. I'm just saying what my eyes see.
It's an idea, yeah.
If you see something, in a so-called light bulb, and it has an eye, you're thinking that looks like a snake type of stuff. Well, Hathor is Hathor's temple. Hathor is known as the golden snake. Right? And she has a temple in Israel too, and they found gold copper snakes.
Yes, they have.
So you put both together. How can it be a light bulb if there's no other light bulb? They're not just going to make the light bulb and stick it in dendra. Why not have it in every other temple?
That's interesting. That's actually interesting. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the connection. And then you're talking about Stargate. They got a wold, symbiotic parasites.
Yeah.
And you put, are they telling you that's what's happened? And then you're talking about obviously Thuban, the serpent in the sky. And it just it doesn't mean it's fact, it just means better sense than just saying it's a light bulb. When have you seen a light bulb with an eye on it?
No, that makes more sense than the other one. I like that idea. I like it.
It's crazy. You after the show, you type in dendra light bulb and look at the pictures, and you can see they have eyes, they have gills.
Yeah.
And then you see the other pictures in the temple and the snakes walking.
I gotta see that. That's cool. They probably do some genetic.
Why do people ignore that? Oh, there's a light bulb, free energy, but we'll ignore everything else that's put in there.
That's cool.
And that's what I'm making now. So I've done one video and I've got that nearly done. And I'm excited about that one because I talked about this 2-3 years ago. People still don't talk about it because we're not the so-called big voices and gatekeepers out there. You know what I mean? People just ignore the information, and that's all it is. It's my information. Take it on board or not, and that's all it is no harm, no foul, as they say.
I like that idea, though. Well, I said my Igon value one with the math with the cross thing is it doesn't fly very well. Same like yours. I'm trying to do something different just to play with an idea for people to fucking think about. Like, not to steal you, that was perfect. I wrote a pillow on time travel, but anyway, for people that remember, like I remember, and again, this is incorrect. The 4 on the clock. If you look at a clock. Now it has 1, 2, 3, 4. Roman numerals, the 4 is now just 4 lines. In my memory, and in some other circles, it does exist.
IV,
it's the X and the 1. There's your X. It's just 4, 5.
I remember IV. Do you remember IV?
Yeah. The X and the 1, which is 5 minus 1, which is 4. So X is the Igon value, and the 1 next to it is negative. So it's -1. So instead of it's negative as in it's on the other side. So basically I talk about people with the whatever effect, we flip sides. They say, well, why is there a Mandela effect with the 4 and Roman numerals on clocks and all certain things? I said, because it's marking the spot for the Igon value, and the 1, which is you would think 4, is actually means negative. So we're backwards. So that change on the clock means that we have flipped sides. We went negative. 5 -1 equals 4. That's why you have a 1 in the X. 5 is the X. Anyway, but that's one of the changes. And so I tell people this, and they're looking at me like, you're fucking crazy, man. There's something wrong with you. I'm like, no, I'm just saying, if there's a large amount of people that remember that fucking Roman numeral 4 being like an X and a 1, and there's a change there, maybe it's the matrix code or God's code or whatever code is saying that we went negative. That's the Igon value marks within the matrix, and the 1 is the negative, which means we went the other side. We flipped fucking sides of the planet, or we went to the other dark side. We flipped sides to the goatee world. It's right there in the clock. There's the answer. I'm crazy. And you're talking
crazy.
That is an incubator. It makes way more sense than a light bulb now.
Yeah, because it's in a fertility temple.
Because of the symbols outside of it. You're using other things to put the pieces. You're not saying what's in it.
Rob, you'll know as you sell, right? You'll see a woman doing that, and people say, "Oh, she's holding up." No, well, in fact, people don't realize that in Egypt and in them times, that is the symbol for birth, as well as amongst other things. So she's ready to give birth or receive whatever is in it.
Yeah.
So there's just so many things, and that'll be out soon. I'm nearly finished it. I'm just not rushing with it.
It wasn't an X, it was a V. I mean,
yeah, that's what I said. IV. I remember 4, like the 4.
I was saying
I, and I remember IV.
Yeah, the V,
some people remember the I, but that is 6.
Yeah, not the X, the vector, the V, the vector. You said it right the first time. The vector. Yeah. So the reverse vector. That means we went reverse. We went to the other
think
side.
About it. What you said. Look at the IV. You put the I at the bottom of the V, and you get Y. But you also get the feminine and the phallic. You get the phallic and the V, the feminine, on top of that.
Feminine, yeah. You get the feminine, yeah. You get the feminine, yeah. I do apologize, guys. I was saying I meant vector. Is that the V? I was excited because we were talking about it was in my head when he said that. So yeah, even I fuck up. So hey, I'm a human. The vector, the V. So that's what I was talking about. The V going backwards. It means backwards. That's why it changed to a 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we've got it here, but on a lot of different things on clocks and walls and things, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. So they did in antiquity to debunk it. They did use both. But for me, there was a huge change on the clocks. Like a clock that I owned had the 1 and a V, and all of a sudden I look at it again. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. And I said, huh? Now I'm misremembering, obviously, and I'm mentally ill. But goddamn, if it didn't have a 1 and a V, which is 4, but now it's the 1, 2, 3, 4. One of the biggest changes for me when I woke up with whatever I have, mental illness. I call it the Jedi mind tricks. I've been hit by a radar gun. But yeah, but to me, that told me that it's reverse vector to 1, like way you describe it. 1 plus if you put it like that, it makes a Y. And Jesus now used to have his arms straight in my memory, and now he has a Y.
Yeah.
And so I go, oh, there's
also a Y cross. It's called a furka.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that was in Africa. They actually have him crucified on a Furka cross, which is a Y cross.
No shit. I didn't know that. Oh no, I didn't know that. Shit, I gotta look that up. Now I'm gonna write that down. Where's my pen? It's called the Furka?
The Furka, Furka, I think it is Furka.
Okay.
The Furka cross.
Furka cross. Okay.
And that is the Y cross. And in Africa, that's when they show pictures of Jesus getting crucified, it's on the Furka cross, which is the Y. And that is what's like they say is tied into the Nordic runes of Algiz and is it YR, which is life and death. They're both that's a Y for life, and the death was the opposite. And they both make the Wendy horn.
Shit, I gotta look up Furka cross. Now I got a whole goddamn new thing to go into a whole new direction.
Well, I think we're close. We're actually over the end.
Yeah, we're over.
Usually 2 hours is perfect for me, but I'm gonna say I had a fantastic time, even though it was mostly you two. But I was learning. I was learning. Hobbs said it in the chat earlier himself, and he made a perfect comment. Have been here for a while, just listening. I don't know anything about UK lost tribes, but good to learn. That was perfect. I'm the same way. I was learning.
Bouncing back stuff, which is what people should be doing. Bouncing back information, writing it down, and just taking it in stride, you know?
Yeah, you start off with one thing, and we end up talking about other things because we just go with the flow, and that's how it should be, you know what I mean?
That connects that together.
That's what you're supposed to do. I mean, that's what's awesome about it.
Yeah.
Now, I had a just great time learning so much because it is overwhelming. I mean, everything that's involved, there's a lot of stuff to it.
Yeah, you can't take history for what it is because the Romans said the furthest, the end of the universe or the end of the world was Hadrian's Wall. Everyone knows that. Yet that wasn't the last wall. They had another wall that no one knows about, and that's called the Antonine Wall.
Yeah,
that's further up in Scotland. So, can you make your minds up? Was that the end of the world, end of the universe, or is it the Antonine? I know people who are in obviously archaeology majors, and they live on the wall, and they didn't even know it was there.
God, I didn't know about it until 2016. I go, huh?
So it's crazy. So you can't take anything for fact. You should go with the flow and try and enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, they win, and we end up fighting each other. Just put a smile on your face.
Enjoy the comic.
100%. Every Friday night, my wife and I go to the movies. We're going tonight.
Yeah,
you got to take a break, go relax your brain, eat some popcorn.
Before you cut us off, this is what I say to people. You always see people arguing, "Oh, I want to find a truther girl. I want to find a truther man." And I say to these people, why? You find someone who your heart knows and feels and loves, right? Why do you want to be in a truth community 24/7? Do you not want enough time? You need a little break. You need dumb shit so your brain can switch off, so you do not get fatigued. If you're going 24/7 truth, you can see these people. They're like crackheads. You need to have your off time, switch off time, do something dumb, and you'll stay on the path.
100%. That's why every show that we do has all different topics, because I don't want to do the same topic over and over and over again.
I'm turning mine off right now.
Bob's got his pipe. But
I got some turn off juice right here. Turn off right now.
So Bob, are you doing a live show this weekend by any chance?
No, I'm not doing a live show. However, I will be like Paul. I'll be making a video. So this time it's a little less stressful. I'm just going to be sitting down with the computer, doing some fun stuff, trying to figure out some stuff, and I'm going to make a video. So if you guys want to see my video, it'll be out Saturday or Sunday. Depends on how long it takes to make. So yeah.
That's awesome. And Paul, you said you're finishing up on a video yourself, correct?
Yeah, I've made one already. I don't know when that's going to come out, and I've nearly finished the Dendro one where I'm showing all this stuff that people are like are going to go that out. So that'll be out soon as well.
And remember, guys, his new website, his YouTube channel, What the Flock TV, is also in my description.
Cool.
If you scroll down, He's got a new channel, and he's
sub it.
popping up his videos. And
I'll
like
sub
he
it.
said, he got that exciting light bulb one coming out. I want
Yeah, I
to
wanna see that. That's
I'm
cool.
already sold. I'm sold. I'm there.
Yeah, I want to see that. That's actually a fucking brilliant idea. That's a whole new. I've never heard of that. That's the first time I ever heard anybody say it. I'm like, huh, yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. Based off visual evidence from the outside and looking inside and what it could be done and how it could be done. You explain the whole thing. I'm going to be watching that. Yeah. Cool.
No, that is cool. And then probably late tonight on my other channel, Horror Talk channel, I'll probably do a live review on a movie I'm watching tonight. Something called Hitman's Wife. I don't know. Something about a Hitman's Wife, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. That's number 2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Somebody says it's a sequel. I'm like, oh, I never saw the first one. But it was nothing. There's nothing else to go see. So, and we like to get out of the house, get away from the kids and dogs. And
turn it off.
So sometimes we'll see whatever, just to get out. It's the only reason to get out.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, guys, who's ever subscribed to the YouTube channel, I'm going to do a Q&A because I want you guys to feel like you need some value. so on Sunday, I'm on Hobbs, look on the community bar. I'll have a link. The link is only for members, and we'll do a Q&A. Just interactive talk with some of you. There's only 3 of you, so I'll have a Q&A with 3 of you. So beyond that, you guys got anything else to say before we end the show?
No, I'm turning my switch off. My switch is being turned off right now.
And I'm going to bed.
Yeah, I think what Paul said was brilliant.
Well, Paul, I want to thank you for coming on. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Somebody in the chat said, hey, can you guys talk about, Bob knows this, somebody in the chat says, can you guys talk about Lost Tribes again? And I go, yeah, we could do that. But I go, Bob, but I want to get Paul on this. Paul,
I need somebody else.
When you start mentioning one thing, someone else pops in my head and I have to talk about it. That's what me and Rob are like. We go off. That's why you say about tribes and we're off about Egypt and we're off about this. We just can't help ourselves. And that's natural. You know what I mean? Don't matter if it's right or wrong to you. Yeah. It's natural.
Yeah, the narrative.
Yeah.
We showed we talked about the narrative.
Thanks for having me on and for everyone in the chat.
So beyond that, guys, we'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend. And be safe out there.